The world has come a long way from using paper maps to adopting spatial intelligence. India's story is no different. The Indian geospatial industry has undergone a significant transformation from data to knowledge, moving up the value chain, transitioning from a services industry to a solutions industry, offering dynamic solutions and services instead of siloed products. The India geospatial industry is at the cusp of the geospatial opportunity, advancing towards a holistic transformation. What started as low-end data development work has evolved into an industry of problem-solving solutions. Democratization and liberalization of Indian geospatial ecosystem is spurring innovation, enabling Indian companies to compete in the global geospatial ecosystem, helping realize the dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-sufficient India. The Geospatial Artha Report estimates the Indian geospatial domestic market to grow from Rs 16,000 crores in 2022 to Rs 23.09 crores in 2025 and finally to Rs 40.66 crores in 2030, driven by technology innovations, integration of workflows, geospatial enablement across national mission mode programs and budgets, and simplified spatial data use across all ecosystems. The export market will touch Rs 14.07 thousand crores in 2025, owing to changing policy reforms, increasing bilateral trade agreements, foreign expansion of indigenous geospatial companies, and strategic collaborations within the industry, leading to economic impact in India of at least Rs 2.16 lakh crores by 2025. The Indian geospatial industry has a leading role to play to innovate and leverage the liberalized geospatial policies to build a robust ecosystem that will help this diverse and vast country leap into the age of knowledge economy on the path of economic progress. Welcome to Geospatial Artha Summit 2022.
Good morning and very warm welcome to Hyderabad and Geospatial Artha Summit. We're going to make a slow beginning, but what you just saw in this video is kind of a glimpse of our industry, is a kind of direction for our industry. If you remember about a year before, almost 11 months before, we produced Geospatial Artha Report last December. And today we have produced the revised edition of that report. It will be launched formally tomorrow, and it will provide a glimpse of very detailed, outlay of our market. But before we get into that, what's happening around us as a society is very important to take into factors in our business. So, look at the new normal. The new normal that we talk about is yet settling down. We don't know what is the new normal. But it has brought in significant impact, or it is still bringing in kind of impact on our living. COVID, which we probably hopefully have left behind, but its impacts are yet to actually kind of take a formal shape. If you look at the economy, society, environment, politics, and lifestyle, 5 major determinants which would drive the business always is still in a phase of, I would say, forming. And that is impacting our business models, that is impacting our work environment, and that is impacting our collective impact of the technology. So what is positive about is the fact that geospatial is being recognized as a very important enabling tool of digital age. The digital age as we are in, we have been rushed through or pushed through, but we are in the digital age, that is the reality. And in this digital age, what you saw is the fact that one industry which kept on growing during pandemic in revenue as well as profitability. And I make very conscious of mention of this, both in terms of revenue and profitability, was the IT industry. But if you look at the industry which is at the forefront of also pushing forward the narratives of recession, is nothing but IT industry again. Look at what's happening in terms of firing or restrictions or cost control. All that IT industry is leading that, but which means that we are going through a market correction. And that market correction is also going to influence any other business. As far as geospatial industry is concerned, I would not at all hesitate in saying this, that this is the next big opportunity. We are already in an in a world of opportunity, but it's definitely much bigger. Next 5 to 10 years belong to our industry. Look at the major drivers: infrastructure and engineering. We all need physical infrastructure. We all need to be having a resilient infrastructure. And as per the estimates, almost 70% of the requirement of infrastructure which we need by 2050 is to be built, and 30% is to be rebuilt. And when we're talking of resilient infrastructure, we are talking of making use of geospatial technology and GeoBIM kind of technologies into making that infrastructure. Second is energy and environment. Energy and environment, we all talk about sustainability, ESG, we talk about climate change, but these are realities. These are the realities, and energy and environment is the second big market which you're looking at. Then moving further is autonomous and robotics. We are living in the autonomous world. We are getting more and more into autonomous world. As an industry, we are looking at autonomous and robotics as another big market. And that's how we keep moving into defense and intelligence, which, of course, is so far by large the biggest market, and probably will continue to be the biggest market because of the geopolitical situation which is going on, or because of the various other kinds of conflicts and the challenge for water or food. All those will actually lead to the defense and security to be more and more relevant for us. But what is beyond enabling these industries is powering the business models, powering the businesses. So look at shared economy business models, or business intelligence, or connected sensors. All that what we are talking in the system integrated world is being powered by geospatial technology. So coming back to the context of India, this meeting is more about India, but it's not disconnected with the world trends. That's the major important message which I wanted to say, that Indian geospatial market is an integral part of the global innovation which is taking place. And we are contributing as well as benefiting from those innovations around us.
So, in India, we chose, and rightly so, about self-reliant India. And why I would say rightly so, because we are about 20% of the world population with 3% of the GDP, which means that we as a nation has a responsibility to provide an equitable and sustainable living to 20% of the world population. And that's very important responsibility in a democratic setup, which we are all proud of. And that's why we need to look at self-reliant India. We need to look at building capacities which could help us fulfill our responsibilities to the citizens. But at the same time, we need to look at making use of cutting-edge technology. And that cutting-edge technology would actually help us being more productive, more efficient, more transparent, and more compliant. And these four terms, when I talk about, are very important determinants of the modern democracy. The modern democracy is not about capitalism or socialism. It's about quality of living. It's about, I don't want to get into politics, but so you have to see that what is the big challenge which we have, and the technology can help us and will help, but there is no other way. And I think the government of India has taken a very important step towards reforms and investments. Two things which I want to emphasize is we are undertaking the very much necessary reforms across the fact that we have to make policies and we have to make innovation, incubation as part of our thinking. But that has to be supported, and which has been supported by the big investments in the field of infrastructure or water or energy or agriculture or housing. And that's the way the Indian government is looking at transforming itself to be able to responsibly manage our responsibilities. So, if you look at that entirety of innovation and reforms which we are taking place is so much driven by few reforms which I would say is, say, digital infrastructure and physical infrastructure. And both of that is going to power our business. But at the same time, when you saw the video, and last year we had projected a geospatial market, and we actually came very close to the projection of 21-22, which was about 14,000 crores, which is almost, at that time in terms of dollar value, was $2 billion. And the 21-22 came very close to that, which is 16,000 crores, which is now in the new dollar value is $2 billion. But our projections for 22 and 23 is taking a hit. And we are just projecting only 6% growth in this year, which is ending March 2023. The reason being is the fact that the speed at which we anticipated the public policies to be rolled down did not happen. The entire public policy impact, which we believed that 18 months before or 24 months before, when the space and geospatial policies were announced, we were expecting the roll down very quickly. But that narrative and that hype is actually taking our projections through the market corrections. Because the government has not yet taken firm steps on those directions. So what I mean to say to the industry is the fact that 22, 23, and its eventually cumulative impact on future projections is losing for us by almost, against our projections, is by almost 20%. But we hope by making these market corrections, we are presenting you and the community a fact to be considered to speed up our policy implementation plan. And policy implementation takes firm commitment, as well as it also takes institutional support. The institutions which are still struggling to find new directions, or rather to adjust to the bigger call by the government of India for a public-private partnerships or private sector engagement, that culture has to be pushed up very quickly. And we all as an industry has a responsibility to push that forward. But this is just a bit of flip side, but I want to say that our industry colleagues have done phenomenal. Our findings are showing that they are so resilient and they are so, I would say, innovative that they have been growing very fast and they are moving up the value chain. We have seen several companies which are actually moving from services to solutions. And we have seen new companies coming up to produce tools and products which are driven, built locally, and actually customized for the local requirement in terms of applications. So what we are seeing a phenomenal growth into the solutions and applications. Of course, when you will have a look at this detailed report, which is, I think, about 175 pages, Ananya? Yeah. So we have produced a very detailed report, and some of the extract of that will be released tomorrow. But we are seeing a very good growth by the geospatial companies in India. Secondly, we are also seeing our startups moving very quickly, be in the space. You'll see the first, startup, Skyroot, is launching, test launching this week. Other startups have started, kind of begun to deliver solutions. If they are delayed in their own plans because of the policy delays, they have started addressing other markets. So they are seeing and implementing their capabilities to other markets. So our industry is becoming, I would say, more technology-driven. It's moving up the value chain in terms of solutions. It's actually creating new products which can supplement and augment existing global platforms and build applications for our market. And this is the kind of direction which we have taken. So with this, I would just like to conclude my talk. But before I do that, I want to invite my colleague Ananya on the stage and have some questions to her. Can you give her a microphone? Ananya is director for GW Consulting, and she is the author of this report and her team. So Ananya, what do you think is the one key direction our geospatial industry in India taking forward?
All right. Before I answer that, Sanjay did mention to me that he's going to surprise all of us with something. I did not think that he's going to ask me a question. So the key, I'm sorry if
what
you
is
can repeat
one
that?
key finding you have into this year report which is driving our industry forward?
One of the key factors that is, actually there are a couple, but if I have to talk about the key one, I think it is the shift and the transition of the industry to move from services to solutions to more of providing solutions in the form fit-for-purpose solutions. The industry is not anymore offering products. They're not going for siloed products because the user is also not demanding that. They're looking more towards offering solutions because the user wants solutions to their problems. So I think that is going to be one of the key drivers for the industry to grow.
And how do you see this policy delay is actually, how much money we are losing because of this policy delays in geospatial industry?
So we did an analysis, and that is something that we'll be releasing tomorrow. We did an analysis last year in Geospatial Artha Report, wherein we showcased that if the policy is timely implemented, then we could see an impact on the industry to be approximately about 60,000 crores in 2025. But given the fact that the policy is delayed, both the policies, actually the three policies, the SatNav policy, the draft remote sensing policy, as well as the geospatial policy, that they have been delayed. And now we are already in the end of 2022, so we should expect it in 2023. We see that it's going to have an impact of about 12.96% in the negative to the market. And that means that we projected 61,000 last year for 2025. This year it's going to be about, for 2025, we projected to be about 55,000 crores.
So, so that's the kind of loss we are making.
Yeah, that's an opportunity loss.
Opportunity loss, yeah. Exactly. And opportunity loss is a loss as well. Do you agree with this? So opportunity loss is a loss as well. But now tell me one thing, that how this, there's so many startup companies and the young companies which we have been talking to are able to push themselves through this entire challenging scenario. What is actually making them succeed?
So we also did a very detailed analysis on the startup ecosystem this time, and it was really interesting to see that we have more than 250 startups in the geospatial industry, more, of course, focusing on the space side. And the kind of investments that they have made and the kind of innovations that they are coming up with today, I think it's going to have a significant impact. You talked about Skyroot. There's Blue Sky Analytics, there's Zovian Space, there's Dhruva Space. There's so many new startups in the space sector, right from the upstream side as well as the downstream side, who are not only focused on offering a product, they are offering solutions which could be very specific, targeted to a market. For example, it's targeted to climate, it's targeted to infrastructure, and I think that itself can have a long-term impact.
So, Ananya, being an economist, can you tell us how far we are to actually, though there is a lot of narratives and hype about political leadership pushing so much towards geospatial, but why we are not, able to make that quick or that speed? Being an economist, just not as a geospatial person, but as an economist, is there a appreciation of this technology by economists too, or not yet?
Globally, yes. Globally, if I have to look at it, there is an appreciation of the technology. But this is something that I have been saying in all forums, is that one thing that is missing from even the global platforms, that I think even in India, is that we forget to include the broader ecosystem, which involves the economists, which involves the statisticians. If we look at the market today, there are very few studies which actually talk about the economic impact of geospatial technologies, or allied technologies for that matter. Even if we talk about AI, if we talk about IoT, we don't see that so much so at a country level, let alone be at global level. But of course, we're seeing that in countries like US and UK, where they're talking about the economic impact of PNT, where they're talking about economic impact of geospatial. So those kind of things, I think that kind of makes a difference to the government stakeholders as well. When they look at the numbers that can show them the productivity and the efficiency that can be gained, the cost saving and the time optimization that can be gained in national projects, for instance, I think that has a lot of impact, and that is what pushes them to take a step forward and implement a policy. As far as the delay in policy is concerned, Sanjay, I'm not sure why that is happening. We were very happy and very enthused when the guidelines for geospatial data did come in, and there was too much of optimism in the market. But this delay, when we look at the draft space remote sensing policy, which has been now 2.5 years, the National Geospatial Policy and the SatNav policy, I think that is kind of an indication. The government is serious. The government does talk about it in all platforms, as we have all very much seen. It's finding its way in national mission modes programs as well. But why is there a delay? I don't think I can comment on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think the overall appreciation by the economic leadership and looking at the opportunity loss as a loss is very important for our industry. I would say in the concluding remarks, the fact that I acknowledge this fact that we as a market are going through the corrections of between on the one side so much of hype and narratives, on the other side the realities of the speed and spirit of embracing the private sector into the national vision of India, and especially in our sector which has been so restricted and so constrained or so away from the private sector engagement. So we are still not looking at other mainstream industries the way the private sector actually plays a big role. So we still have to get there, and this is, the important message I want to give to the industry leaders, especially from Indian companies, is the fact that we have to consistently work towards raising the value and utility and relevance of our profession in national development. And we have to be more collective, I would say. And I wish, I've invited the presidents of AGI, Drone Federation, and the Indian Space Association, and SatNav Communication. All those associations, they're not here. Probably they will choose to come at their own time in the evening for their session. The point is this, all these bodies have to work together and somehow showcase that collective value of our industry and engage with the government collectively too, because these might be representing a component of the larger geospatial ecosystem, but they are so interdependent in success. And we have to consistently work towards to make this policy and implementation quick, as well as work towards convincing the government to invest into the fundamental infrastructure, foundational information infrastructure, hand-holding industry, and probably creating more, I would say, futuristic vision of putting forward a roadmap where a collective approach can be taken up or a national strategy can be taken up. And if you want to make that $10 billion geospatial market by 2030 or 2027, I think we have to work more together. And that is the kind of request I would like to make to all of you to work together. Thank you very much.